I'm not sure how to start, but I need to confess something. I made some really big mistakes. I acted foolishly by posting anonymously on a Reddit forum about open relationships. My goal was to get opinions from others on how to convince my husband to open up our relationship because I had a crush on a coworker. I also made some hurtful posts about my husband, which was completely wrong. I made fun of his size, even though he's the biggest I've ever been with. But for some reason, I still felt like it wasn't enough. To make things even worse, I confessed to having an affair with the coworker I had a crush on in one of my Reddit posts. My husband discovered my Reddit account and saw everything. Before the affair even happened, I felt incredibly guilty about my feelings for my coworker. I had asked my husband for an open relationship, but it turned into a disaster. He not only said no, but he also started suspecting that I already had someone else in mind. Little did he know that I had already cheated on him emotionally. After the affair became physical, I felt an overwhelming sense of guilt, and it gnawed at me from the inside. I really wanted to share what I'd done with my coworker, but I didn't know who I could trust. I couldn't even confide in my friends because I was afraid they would judge me. Sharing it with my husband was out of the question because it might mean the end of our marriage. Since I spent a lot of time on Reddit and had read many stories about infidelity, I made the difficult decision to share my own experience there. I believed that strangers on the internet would give me honest and unbiased reactions. The affair had been with a male coworker who had been showing interest in me since we started working together. He wasn't in a committed relationship, which made me curious, considering how good-looking he was. My insecurities made me think that someone like him wouldn't be interested in someone like me, so I considered his flirting harmless. Especially when I noticed that he seemed to pay more attention to me than to the other girls at work, it boosted my self-esteem. If there's such a thing as a work husband, he would be it. He was very handsome, the type of guy who never missed a day at the gym. He was much taller than my husband, more attractive, and dressed more stylishly. My friend and I even jokingly referred to him as having a big dick energy. We used to have a lot of fun at work, playing pranks on each other when we thought nobody was watching. We became really comfortable joking around, but we always kept things respectful. One Friday, my husband went out of town, and he was coming back on Saturday evening. On that Friday during lunch, all of my coworkers, including the male coworker I was interested in, went to a buffet. After eating so much, none of us wanted to go back to work. So, the male coworker I was interested in invited me and 3 other coworkers to his house to play some games. We thought it would be a good way to pass the time and burn off some of the calories we had just consumed. My male coworker was a bachelor, so he had a nice house. When I arrived at his house, we started by playing basketball on his driveway. Eventually, everyone else left, and it was just the 2 of us. I was sweating from the game, so I decided to take a shower at his place. After my shower, he had some drinks ready for both of us. We had a couple of drinks and then went to his bedroom. He turned on the TV, and we started watching a silly movie. I was feeling a bit playful, so I made a move on him and went down on him. Unfortunately, it didn't go as expected. He came in about 20 seconds without any warning. After that, he pretty much ignored me. It lasted for about an hour, and right when I was thinking of leaving, he started getting closer to me. I decided to go along with it. But I have to say, the intimate part was really bad. It was so embarrassing. He didn't want to do certain things because he said his tongue hurt from eating Pringles, so we skipped that and went straight to the main part. But it was just 10 minutes of awkward movements. And he didn't remember to be careful, which was concerning. Afterwards, he just rolled over and resumed watching TV. I quickly got dressed and left to go home. On my way back, I thought about everything and realized that all the excitement and flirting we had built up over nearly a year didn't turn out as expected. He may have looked strong and handsome, presenting himself like a perfect man, but when it comes to the real deal, my husband is way better than anyone else I've been with. It's because of his experience, and I wish I had recognized that sooner. Before I cheated on my husband, I treated him very poorly. I even made negative comments about his size on my Reddit post. However, upon reflection, I realized he's actually around 7 inches, which isn't small at all. I was just letting my fantasies about a coworker cloud my judgment. After the affair, I felt immense guilt. When my husband returned, I couldn't bring myself to confess, so I turned to Reddit to share my story. The Redditors there gave me the tough love I needed at that moment. I wanted someone to tell me how foolish I had been to fall for a fake playboy, and perhaps that's why he was still single. I actively engaged with comments on Reddit, finding it therapeutic for me during that challenging time. I ended my connection with the person I had an affair with and requested a transfer to a different department at work. While I waited for the transfer to happen, I avoided talking to that person and only discussed work-related matters. Some of my female coworkers noticed this change in my behavior, and I was surprised that they picked up on the chemistry between us. I became worried that someone at work who disliked me might tell my husband about the chemistry I had with the male coworker, especially now that my husband is suspecting something. To counter this, I made an effort to be more friendly and likable at work, even buying donuts for my colleagues. However, I was unaware that my husband had been aware of my actions for some time. He had been tracking my Reddit posts and had seen my previous posts where I had criticized him. When I posted about my affair with my coworker, he sent me a screenshot of that post while I was at work. This alarmed me, and I rushed home. Upon my return, I found my husband in the kitchen. I tried to talk to him, but he simply put on headphones and started cooking pasta. Eventually, he removed the headphones and served the pasta, but when I asked for some, he refused to share and ate it all himself. Desperate for forgiveness, I confessed to everything, but he ignored me. I felt exhausted and emotionally drained, so I went to bed without resolving the situation. He woke me up about an hour later, and I thought he wanted something intimate, but instead, he grabbed my blanket and handed me a towel. Then, he went into the living room to set up for sleep. I eventually fell back asleep after finding a rug to keep warm. While he was on the couch, I tried to talk to him, but he ignored me. I woke up early because my room was chilly, and the heater wasn't on. This gave me some time to reflect, and I realized I made some serious mistakes. I need to work on being a better wife. I attempted to talk to my husband throughout the day, but he remained unresponsive. When I tried to initiate physical intimacy, he declined and left the room, something he's never done before. He seemed disinterested in everything, and I noticed he hadn't eaten or drunk anything all day. He just appeared tired. I attempted to have a conversation with him, but he abruptly left the house. I tried calling him, but it went to voicemail, so I sent him a text expressing my love for him and the need for us to talk to save our marriage. His response was painful. I no longer want to have a conversation or be in this marriage with you. I'll be staying elsewhere until the new year, and when I return, I expect you to be gone. This was my house before, and I don't want you here anymore. I've contacted a lawyer, and we will communicate through her from now on. I'm changing my number. I made some calls and found out that my husband is staying at his ex-girlfriend's house. This breaks my heart, as she had been trying to get back together with him ever since their breakup. I was worried about her because she's attractive, single, and always wanted him back. I have a feeling she might take advantage of this situation to try and win him over. I sent a text to my husband, letting him know I found out where he was and that I was willing to make a deal to prevent a divorce. The deal was that he could have other relationships, but we would stay married. I knew I made a huge mistake, and I apologized, but all he did was send me a screenshot of my Reddit post where I was criticizing him. I quickly deleted all my Reddit posts and apologized to him, but he still wouldn't respond. I haven't slept for 3 days, and my anxiety has become overwhelming. I had to call off work because of it. I don't know what to do except go back to Reddit with an anonymous account, seeking any advice or solutions. Today has been incredibly long, and so much has happened. I'm feeling lost and confused. I just want things to go back to normal. Sorry for the long message, I just needed to vent. I know I messed up, but I never thought it would